Hey there, StarPoint. Mr. Seward here, and today we're going to look at how to make an assembly with Onshape. And the very first thing is actually getting the assembly started. So you should have a document shared with you. It's called the wheel assembly, starting an assembly, and you will need to open that. Now, when you open it up, you might come up with this pin on your screen, or you might come up with this bracket or this part studio right here. Whichever one you come up with is just what you got, okay? That's all right. Now, the very first thing is I need to go to the assembly tab. So we've got all three parts that are going to go into making up this assembly here. Uh, and I'm going to click on assembly, and this is blank right now. You'll notice a couple things have changed. First of all, this toolbar across the top has changed from features, and it is changed to the assembly toolbar. The second thing is over here where we have the parts list generally and features list, that's been changed to say instances, and you can see that right there. Over here on the right hand side are tools for creating BOMs, bills of materials. We also have a button for doing some configuration stuff. And then last is exploded views. Now we'll get to these things in a later lesson. So to begin an assembly, we first need to insert a component. And the component that we're going to use here is this bracket, okay? That's the very first component that we're going to insert. So I'm going to go back to my assembly. Now, to do that, I'm going to go up to the insert tool, and I'm going to choose that. And we have three tabs here. The current document, which is exactly where we want to be, but I'll show you these other ones. This one says other documents. So if you have components that might be in other documents that you have drawn before, you can click on My Onshape and or any of these three or four things and go find them. And you can also do what's called standard components. And standard components are things like screws and nuts and bolts. We'll talk about these in the future lesson also. But I'm going to go back to current document first. So we're going to use the current document of the bracket. We use what we want to put in as the base for the other two parts that are going to go into this assembly. So I'm going to click this down arrow next to the Part Studio for bracket, and that is the only part that is in here. So that's a good thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the word bracket. Now, this pops into my graphics area. You can see it, it's this yellow thing right now. And if I brought this cursor out here, I could move it around and change its location. I don't want to do that though, because you see the little dot that's just to the left of the part right now? That's the origin of my assembly drawing. And I want the origin of my assembly drawing aligned with the origin of my part drawing. So instead of moving it around, I'm just going to go up here to the green check mark and click on it. And that puts this in place. Now, can I move this around? Yes, I can. And by the way, I can undo this and get it back to the right spot. What I'm going to do right here is I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to use the word fix to put this in place. So you want to fix your first part of an assembly in place, because that's the base and that's what everything else is going to get built around. And you can see that it has this little emblem right here. That's the part is fixed icon, and that's exactly what we want. So anyways, starting an assembly. Next up is going to be inserting additional components.